So the next section is focusing on describing your students' educational placement. So within this section, we have to be able to specify what special education and general education services are provided and what location or ways are the services provided. So when we're looking at, I'm sorry about all my tabs, it's pretty obsessive. So we are here, okay, in this section, section B, describe your student's educational placement. So when we're looking at our student, so for example, I'm going to be looking at Armand's case study. So in terms of classroom setting, this student has the same 5 academic blocks, 1 alternating non-academic block, recess, and lunch. So I might include that information in terms of what services are provided. So I might say that I might copy paste this into the document. And say each day, 3rd grade students have the same 5 academic blocks, 1 alternating block, recess, and lunch. And I'm going to cite that. I'm just going to call it case study. So in terms of what the schedule looks like, so all students participate in reading, science or social studies, a special, writing, math, another period of reading, and RTI time. So I might say students, or I can just bullet this because I'm going to be writing my narrative later. So students participate in language arts, mathematics, science, social studies, specials. This could be art. What else does it include? Art, PE, library. So language arts, math, science, social studies, specials. Do you see, I just included guided reading and this at the same time. And they also have RTI time. So again, this is looking at what all students are provided. All students are provided this, okay? So in terms of your student, so I don't have a pseudonym, so Armand participates. So I have to look at how Armand's participating. So when we're looking at, we could look at this through several ways. We can look at impact of disability when we're thinking about where these services are. We can look at the schedule, but this isn't telling me, where he's receiving his services. So we have to be able to look at some of the information in terms of his services, right? So in terms of his services, this is what he's receiving. Academic support in reading, academic support in language arts, behavior management. So when we're looking at the LRE, or the least restricted environment, he is in the general education setting for all instruction except academic support for reading. Okay. So he participates in both general education and special education to address his areas of need. In what locations or ways are the services provided? So he is receiving his services. He's receiving his services in the general education classroom, except for reading support for 30 minutes, where he receives services in the resource room. Okay. You can also specify if they're talking specifically about, you know, if he's in a program, for example, you could specify that. But I would say he receives, I'm just going to copy paste this so that it's a little bit easier to type. But he receives, so Armand receives academic support in language arts, writing in general education classroom. So, we also want to be very specific. So we know that he's receiving these services 15 minutes, 5 times per week. So 15 minutes per day, 5 days a week. He's, Armand's receiving behavior management, or I could say receiving support to address deficits in behavior management or just behavior. 30 minutes per day in the general education classroom, 10 times per week. Okay, so again, it's important that we not only say where he's receiving the services, but how often. So we know that he's getting his needs addressed in both general ed and special ed, but we're providing specifics in terms of the location and then the frequency and duration of when he's receiving those supports. So I have been able to address his educational placement. You could also specify that he's not receiving any related services, but you could also just leave it at that. And that is section or part B of section 3.